Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What kind of slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm going to burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump just continues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you. Toadstool Sports, Friday, December 5th. Winning night on the show last night, not by much, but a 3-2 night. College basketball continues to be good, man. Riding with Ryder, pretty easy cover there. I mean, the game was pretty much exactly what I thought it would be. It's just a horrendous, ugly game where neither team even got to 70. Ryder lost by 2 points and easily covered the number there. Cal State Northridge got the win to make it a winning night in the late game. They pulled away late in their game. That was a nice win as well. The hockey game, don't love losing on hockey favorites, man. I know Jeffrey had that one right, but I'm going to tell you statistically, the Bruins should not have won that game. Like, statistically, I looked late in the game during the third period. St. Louis was winning 60% of the faceoffs in the game. They had, like, double the hits that the Bruins had. So, somehow, the Bruins were the way less physical team in the game. St. Louis had more shots, although some of that was because they were behind. But the Bruins got outplayed in, like, every statistical aspect of that game. And that kind of means it comes down to, like, the back end of the defense and the goaltending. But the goaltending situation was what I predicted it would be, too, even though the website that I look at that predicts the starting goalies said the complete opposite. I was like, that's not going to happen in this game. And I was correct. Korpisalo did play for the Bruins, so it was not Swayman in net. So the Bruins had their second-string goalie in net, and he sucks. And they still won. And Binnington was in net for St. Louis, their top goalie. I mean, I just don't even get it, man. I don't get it. I think my handicap was correct in that one. I'm pissed. And then I was definitely not correct on the Celtics game. I mean, that game, Celtics blew Washington completely out. And Jaylen Brown didn't even play in that game. This Celtics team, man, I mean, they do a lot with their limited roster. Okay, they're well coached. All right, you got to hand it to Joe Mazzulla. Celtics have one of the lowest turnover rates in the NBA. They still hit a ton of threes, which they hit like 23s last night. But again, it wasn't really like some statistical outlier. I think they might have hit high 30% range, 38% from three, which is pretty much within their range anyway. So it wasn't really an outlier in that game. It was just the Celtics won the game, covered. Nothing you could do about that. And then we did get the Thursday night game right in NFL, so I'm happy about that. Detroit, definitely the right side, and they made it really dicey near the end after they took a 27-9 lead, which, by the way, I'm not happy about this at all because my fantasy opponent had Brandon Aubrey at kicker, and he got like 23 fucking points because he kicked at least 5 field goals in the game. So, yeah, in a way, maybe we got a little, I don't want to say we got lucky. It was the right side, but Dallas did stall out numerous times to kick a bunch of field goals. But it was a 27-9 Detroit lead in the third quarter, and then so they're up 18, and then all of a sudden it's a 3-point game after Detroit gets held to a field goal to go back up 11 after Dallas had scored a touchdown and gotten a 2-point conversion. Then Dallas drives. They get a touch. It wasn't even a drive. They got a touchdown in this freak play which, by the way, my fantasy opponent also had CeeDee Lamb, and he had a pretty good game as well. That was pretty much he was like kind of right where he was predicted to be. But yeah, I'm pissed about getting 23 points thrown up against me by my opponent's kicker, and my primary kicker is on bye because I have New England's Borregales. I should change my team's name to Aurora Borregales. But I have Matt Prater filling in for him this week. This is the only time I think I've ever had 2 kickers on my fantasy roster. I'm never going to do that unless I want to keep my really good kicker, which is what I'm doing here. But it's a terrible week for me. It's a week where I have a lot of buys, and I have Patrick Mahomes and Rashee Rice going up against the Texans D. But I'm already going to get a bye in the playoffs. I'm in the 1 seed right now, and the worst that I can do is fall to 2. I don't even think I can fall to the 2 because the guy that was tied with me last week, I beat him last week. So I think I'm probably guaranteed the 1 seed. But the way we have a 12-team fantasy league in my main. You guys don't care about fantasy, I know, but I don't know. I just get on tangents. Top 6 teams make the playoffs. The top 2 get a bye in the first round of the playoffs. I don't think there's... I think I'm already locked into a bye, so I don't really need to win this week. I just get pissed when I lose. But anyway, the Lions, they pulled ahead again. They got 2 late touchdowns and put that game away. So they were the better team. It was the right call. Mr. Thursday Night continues. As now I'm, what am I? I think I'm 12-1-1 now. Is that right? Or 11-2-1 maybe in my Thursday night calls, and 3-1 I guess with or 3-1 or 4-1. 4-1 maybe with the actual plays I've given on a Thursday, because we had Dallas against the Eagles. We had the Chargers in one of them. The loss was on the Ravens last week. We won last night. I thought we had one other one in there. I don't remember. Maybe some. Oh yeah, Houston. I've played on the Thursday night game 3 weeks in a row now. We're 2-1 on those. So yeah. All right. We'll get into today. I'm gonna have one play in every sport that's on the board today, and hopefully we get some more wins here. Jeffrey, what's up? It was reverse line movement. Yeah, I mean, hopefully you still got a 3 out there, even though it didn't wind up mattering. It almost did. I mean, the game was a 3-point game in the fourth quarter, and I'm sitting there pissed thinking, no, this is going to be a push when it should be an easy win. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm not taking a scheduled loss in fantasy. I'm making free agent pickups anyway. I don't care. Like, I filled out my roster this week. I'm still doing it. Yeah, I'm streaming the Titans defense against Shedeur Sanders because that was the best that I could get on the free agent wire for the streaming of defenses. No, I'm going to try to win. I don't think I'm going to after that kicker performance last night, but I'm trying to win. My opponent is like trying to even get into the playoffs, though. Dirty Sock, what's up, man? Danny, what's up, man? Euro League, what are we talking about here? We're talking about, what is the Euro League? We're talking about soccer, basketball? What are we talking about here? I don't even know. The fans are crazy. I believe you, yeah, because I've seen what the fans are like in soccer. Yeah, I believe you that the fans are crazy. It doesn't work its way into any of my handicapping, though. I do American sports here, man. But yeah, hopefully people got the 3 on the Lions last night and didn't have to lay the 3.5. I'm pretty sure the 3s were available like all day and into the night, like, because I was watching the market. It seemed like you could get at least like 3 at like minus 115 or something like that, which that would have definitely been worth it, I would say. All right, let's get into today's board here. Don't want to take too long here. We have finally the board is reducing on Friday for college basketball, because usually it's not a big college basketball board on Friday. We have a couple of big games. The biggest game probably of the entire night is Gonzaga and Kentucky on ESPN2. Number 11 Gonzaga, number 18 Kentucky. I actually think both of these teams are underranked as far as where the rankings makers are putting them. But as you'll see in a second, Gonzaga is the better team. They're going to be a favorite here on the road. This is also going to be a fast-paced game. Both of these teams play really fast. So I'm expecting possibly an over is a way to look in this game too, because both teams just want to push that tempo. Even though Gonzaga does play pretty good defense, they're a very balanced team, and that's really where I think the difference comes in, is that Kentucky is more offensively minded, but Gonzaga this year is actually focused on both, and they're like an elite rebounding team as well. So I do kind of like Gonzaga in this game. Gonzaga just got absolutely embarrassed in Las Vegas, and that's a place where they kind of have a home crowd. They got wrecked by 40 points against Michigan in the championship of the Players Era Festival out there. Now, I could see the argument that they'll be a little bit hungover because taking your first loss of the season and having to bounce back from that is a little bit difficult. But I think it makes it a little bit easier when it was an embarrassing loss. I know it was to a top 10 ranked team, but when you lose by 40 to anybody, you're going to be pissed, I think, in the next game. Although the other drawback with Gonzaga here is this is the first time they're going to be leaving the Pacific time zone. I'm pretty sure. Well, actually, they played at Arizona State, which I guess they're in their own world. They're in like some mountain time zone equivalent, I guess. But this will be the first time Gonzaga's having to go this far east. Only their second true road game of the season. They did win the other one against Arizona State. Kentucky is definitely better than Arizona State. So that'll make it a little bit more difficult. For Kentucky, they're coming off a much closer game, though. They had a battle against North Carolina and only lost by 3. So I think the spot does actually set up a little bit better for Gonzaga here overall. That would be the way that I would lean, although an over might actually be preferable in this game. Gonzaga looks like they got some of the early money up from 3.5 to 5, but 86% of the tickets and then 58% of the cash coming back in on Kentucky. So it looks like Gonzaga may wind up being a public side in this one. I mean, they are the higher ranked team, although I don't know, man. I mean, Kentucky, they just have that name around them where you think that maybe public thinks it's enticing to take points with them in a game where both teams are kind of ranked similarly and Kentucky's at home, whatever. And then the over, it looks like maybe it got some traction with the number going up a little bit to 158, but I think it actually was up to 160, and then it came back down a little bit, so I don't know. But over makes sense to me in that game, maybe more so than the side. Slightly to Gonzaga as well in that one. MLS, I don't do it, man. MLS, they take a back seat to everything in the U.S. The MLS is shit, dude. Like, I mean, you could argue that soccer is good, but like international soccer is way better than the MLS. The MLS is garbage soccer. Like MLS is where old European soccer players come over here to die, basically. Like David Beckham and now Lionel Messi, I assume, is still on Miami's team or whatever. I mean, he basically, like, these European players, they basically come over to the MLS to retire. Like, they retire and then they start playing in the MLS. It's garbage soccer, dude. All right. I don't know about these other games. Like, do I even really want to talk about some of these other games? Not particularly. I think High Point was maybe in a decent bounce back spot. Yeah, I mean, High Point just took a loss to Southern Illinois, which is a pretty ugly loss. High Point was a pretty big favorite in this game, although ESPN doesn't show us the betting odds anymore. But that's an ugly loss for High Point. It did end a long win streak for them, but maybe they do come out with some intensity here. If they show up, they should be able to run NJIT out of the building. I mean, High Point plays fast. NJIT plays slow. NJIT, not a good team. Their game to cover was last time where we lost by a few points. They missed by a few points in that attempt to cover against Eastern Michigan after Eastern Michigan upset Cincinnati. Yeah, I mean, this game, to me, it would be High Point in this game. I mean, I'm not giving it out as a play, but they're up to a 28-point favorite. It looks like some of the money came in that way. It's not a particularly low total because I think High Point's going to push the pace here. So I expect them to win by a pretty big margin there. South Alabama, East Tennessee State, actually a good game. Both these teams have pretty good records. South Alabama, 8-1 start. East Tennessee, 6-2. South Alabama, they really have not been tested yet, though. I mean, I don't even know who the best opponent they've faced so far is. Like, their one loss is at UAB. So South Alabama's resume, not really as impressive as their record looks. Coming off a win over New Mexico State, that was a pretty nice win. That might have been in the Cancun thing. No, this is actually at South Alabama. No, it was in Katy, Texas. What? I don't know. All these random locations for these games, man. Now they're going back out on the road. East Tennessee State is a little bit more battle-tested just because, well, really just because they played Dayton on the road in the last game, but that did break a long win streak for them, so sometimes that will hang you over into the next game, but they are back at home where they have not lost a game at home this year, although South Alabama may be better than all the rest of the opponents they faced this year at home, although they did face Northern Kentucky. I mean, they're not an easy opponent to beat. Overall, I think East Tennessee may be the right side in this one. I think South Alabama, their record is a little bit better, and I think they are not the better team, as the odds makers are telling you. East Tennessee State up to a 5.5-point favorite from a 4-point favorite. That's the way that I would lean in this game. East Tennessee laying the points. The public's not going to do that, right? If they see this game and they want some basketball action, oh my God, 6-2, laying all these points to an 8-1 team. It looks pretty tempting to take the points with the 8-1 team, but I'm telling you, South Alabama, very weak schedule so far. Jeffrey, you watched Loser Cast? Yeah. I think I've told some of those stories before on Tower Gang as well. The strip club, yeah. All of it is true. People don't think my stories are true. I just have crazy stories, and I remember things and I think about them in a crazy way. They're all true, man. What's up, man? No to the state. What's up? Hell yeah. Saab, East Texas A&M. Are you reading my mind? What? Oh, yeah, you're not the only one. All right. Samford and VCU, I eyeballed this one briefly. VCU is coming off a big win over Virginia Tech, and they played Vanderbilt the game before that, so they're coming off 2 big wins. I know VCU is actually the better team over Virginia Tech right now, but I think VCU still considers themselves to be a little brother to Virginia and Virginia Tech in Virginia. That's a big win, man, and they beat them by 18 points. It was the 3rd place game out in the Bahamas. Big win for VCU, man. Now they come back home. They face this Samford team that they're probably not going to pay that much attention to. They also have New Mexico up in 5 days, which I think is a bigger deal because the Mountain West just gets more respect, at least in the regular season. And New Mexico, under the Richard Pitino reign, they got into the tournament once and whatever.
Yeah, inside, I want to kill myself.
I always have to play the Pitino clip whenever I mention any Pitino. For Samford here, Samford is coming off a pretty disgusting loss to Utah Valley. This might have been in the Cancun thing. Yeah, this was in Cancun. I don't know what happened in this game. Samford had one of the worst shooting performances you'll ever see. 25% from the field, 22% from 3. Utah Valley is one of the better teams in the WAC. 56% from the field, though, and 50% from 3. So even though, yes, Utah Valley did out-rebound Samford, there were a bunch of outliers in this game that made that game look worse than it really was. Any team that's coming off a loss by 40-plus points, I think they're going to show up with some intensity here. So Samford is my opinion in this game. I would take the points. This has not made my card. This is close. This one is almost on my card here. VCU's down from 19 to 18.5 here. Now, VCU does play fast again this year or somewhat fast after they were kind of a slow-paced team the last couple of years. Because, Shaka Smart is certainly not there anymore. But I'd prefer taking the points if VCU was a slower-paced team, although they'd probably be laying fewer points here. Samford does want to play slow, so the fear might be that VCU might be able to speed them up and get them uncomfortable. But I still think taking the points to Samford makes sense. It's just that how big is that VCU win over Virginia Tech when VCU was actually the favorite? Yeah, I don't know. And how big of a look ahead really is New Mexico? Those are kind of the questions there. But I do like Samford there. Quinnipiac at Iona is actually an interesting one. These teams are decent teams in there. This is actually a MAAC game. I think this is a conference game. Yeah, I forgot Quinnipiac was in this conference now. Iona, they're almost always one of the better teams in this conference. Quinnipiac was one of the better teams in the conference last year, maybe the best, and they didn't actually win it to get into the tournament. Iona coming off a win over Delaware, which is not impressive. Delaware's not good this year. Quinnipiac coming off also an unimpressive win, although they covered against us, beating Stonehill. This game is a difficult one to gauge, man. I think both teams probably show up here. Iona's down from a 3-point favorite to a 2.5-point favorite, but I think they're the better team, so the fact that they're only laying 2.5 at home seems a little bit weird to me. I actually think that line is somewhat short. So line value, I think, lies with Iona in this game, but I don't know, man. It's a bit of a tough call. I might slight lean that way because I don't really have an opinion with the situation. Bryant at Brown, I'll just mention it because that's a game that I talked about before because we faded Bryant, I think, in their last game. Oh, yeah. That was the game. That was the game against. What am I saying? This was the game where he lost on Stonehill. It was a very similar result. It wasn't the Quinnipiac one. It was this one. Bryant, I thought they might be looking ahead to this Brown game. I still think they're going to show up because I still think they consider themselves to be a little brother to Brown in the state of Rhode Island, even though Brown's not that good. Brown, they just had a game where they were the little brother and they lost to Rhode Island. And this game was a bit closer down the stretch than the 10-point final makes it look. Brown was kind of in this game fairly late, at least midway through the second half they were. So Brown's coming off of that. Slightly into Bryant in this one. Brown's down from a 5.5-point favorite to a 4.5-point favorite and a low total of 128. It does look better to take the points in that game as well. So slight opinion on that one. Niagara at Siena is an interesting one just because these are upstate New York teams that don't really like each other, although Siena's further east. Niagara is in like the Buffalo area, obviously. Niagara, really their big rival is Canisius. It's just Canisius isn't good. Siena, they look like they're good this year, man. Like I remember Siena having some pretty good teams. If you remember those years in like 08, 09, whatever. I picked them in my bracket one of those years over Vandy when Siena came up from out of nowhere. Nobody knew who they were. And I'm like, dude, Siena had... if you remember the Rossiter brothers, one of them played on Davidson with Steph Curry, but the other one, who was like the taller dude, was on Siena. He was like their best player. They had one other really good player too. I forget his name, but then Siena actually was better the next year, and they were like I think an 8 or 9 seed in the tournament against Ohio State, and like really gave them a challenge too in the next tournament, if I remember correctly. So Siena, I mean, they might be back, man. The Siena Saints, but their logo is a St. Bernard. I don't really talk about these mascots too often, but some of them are pretty funny. Siena's a 14-point favorite in this game, and the total's very low, 129.5. Looks like it's expected that Niagara is going to struggle to score in that one. Siena's definitely the better team, but do you want to lay 14 with a low total like that? I personally do not. I don't know. I just thought that game was maybe somewhat interesting. Most of these games are not interesting. We do have some other MAC games here. So conference play is in swing. Let's just put it that way. Saab, I agree with you on that one too. On the Ducks. Z, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out. All right, let's give out my one play. Saab already called it. We are going to be on East Texas A&M plus 38.5. This line is really high, dude. Like, Ken Baum has this one in like the lower 30s, I think. And part of that is because this is against UConn. I know UConn's good. I know East Texas A&M sucks. We all know this. But this is a huge line, and the spot is bad for UConn. And UConn, they just don't play a style where they cover my margin like this, and they don't need to. Like, this is a game where they just want to get in, get out. They don't need to do anything fancy. They don't need to show anything. And UConn, you know what they do. They play like one of the 60th slowest tempos in college basketball, basically. So you're going to get a slow-down UConn team coming in here. It's not really conducive to scoring a ton of points, man. So it's a big ask to ask UConn to cover this ridiculous number. It's up from 37 to 38.5 here. Total is pretty low at 140, which is expected. This UConn team, if you look at their past results, the only time that they covered a number like this was when they just destroyed. I think we lost on this game, by the way, so hopefully it's not a repeat of that. They destroyed UMass Lowell. Actually, I don't think that was one of our games. We did lose on UMass Lowell somewhere, but there's no way I would have played UConn against UConn off of barely beating New Haven in a way. But, well, with UConn, yeah, I mean, that UMass Lowell game looks like an outlier because they have not scored 90 or more points in any game besides that one. And, again, I referenced that New Haven game. I know New Haven really got excited to play against UConn, I assume, because in-state little brother in their first Division I season. UConn probably took them really lightly. UConn only beat them 79 to 55. They only beat Columbus 89 to 62. Bryant 72 to 49. So in none of these games did they cover a number like this. And then, of course, yeah, they're battle tested, obviously. UConn's faced a bunch of ranked opponents too. But that's also the crux of this handicap is this is a sandwich spot where, again, UConn's going to win this game, but I don't think they're going to win this one by this margin. They just beat Illinois and Kansas, two huge wins for UConn there. And now after this, they play Florida. And not only is it Florida, Florida's a ranked team. They're a really good team, but returning champions. And that's tournament revenge. Florida was the team that ended UConn's season last year. UConn took them right to the wire, too. UConn almost knocked Florida out of the tournament, man. Probably should have. I'm still mad because I thought Florida was not the right play in the brackets and like to win the whole thing, I mean. And they had multiple escapes in the tournament, and that was one of them. That's going to be a huge game for UConn, man. You always have that game circled against the team that ended your season. So I just don't think they're going to pay that much attention here to this bad East Texas A&M team who, by the way, they are at least above 500. They've at least played some somewhat difficult teams on the road, like New Mexico, playing at the Pit. That's not easy to do, man. Even if New Mexico's a little bit down, East Texas A&M was respectable in that game. They lost 76-54. That's not that bad. Their worst loss, they gave up 100 points at Hawaii, but that's, I mean, asking them to travel to Hawaii is kind of crazy. And they lost by 26 in that game, although obviously UConn is way different than Hawaii. But UConn also, I would guess UConn's not going to score 100 points in this game either, though, because that's just not their style. And then East Texas A&M played to within 7 of Rice in their other road game. And Rice is actually better this year than you would think, at least. They're not like a total doormat or anything. And now East Texas A&M has won 3 games in a row, so they actually have a little bit of momentum here, beating, not good opponents, but their last win was against Army. I mean, it's a respectable win, beating them by 17. They're going to get up for this game, man, and they have already played on the East Coast. I mean, they're well-traveled because they did go to Fairleigh Dickinson, and they beat them by 5. I know Fairleigh Dickinson is total ass. Like, they're one of the worst, probably one of the worst 10 teams in all of D1, but still, East Texas A&M has now traveled to the East Coast. That's what they're doing here. I know this is going to be on UConn's campus, Storrs, Connecticut. I know I talk about how UConn's fans, they all get crazy in that arena, but do you really think they're going to be that? I mean, I know it's a Friday night game. People are looking for something to do. They want to get drunk, whatever, but are the fans really going to be that intense for a game against East Texas A&M? I don't know. I just don't really see it. This number is definitely too high, and it's a bad spot. We'll take East Texas A&M plus the points in that one. Fernando, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out again. Your second NHL hint. Yep, I see it there. I don't know if I agree with that one or not. UConn beat, I didn't even see they played East Texas A&M last year. They beat them by 40 plus. Yeah, whatever. This spot, I assume, is worse than that one was. All right, and then we do have a couple other big games. The Cincinnati battle, Cincinnati and Xavier. This is always a crazy game, dude. Like, fights break out in this game. These two teams really hate each other. They're both in Cincinnati. Xavier is going to host this one. Cincinnati won at home last year by 3 in this game, and Xavier won the previous year, so I didn't look beyond that, but the home team won each of the last 2 of these games. Again, both teams are going to show up for this. It's going to be a crazy game. Cincinnati coming off beating Tarleton State. Who cares? Xavier is coming off a win over St. Francis. Again, who cares? This is also sponsored by Skyline Chili, baby. The crosstown shootout. Skyline Chili, I don't know. People bash me for liking it. I like it. I know it's a disgrace to my Italian heritage, I guess, to put chili on pasta. But, dude, chili with the melted cheese on it, plus they put cinnamon in it. I like that. The cinnamon brings out the flavors. Yeah, I'm a fan. I like it. But as far as this game is concerned, I honestly don't know what you should do in this game. I mean, under seems to kind of make sense in this matchup just because there's going to be a lot of intensity. Total's already gone up from 144.5 to 148, though. But, I mean, just if you expect an intense, focused, defensive effort, to me, an under makes sense. It's Cincinnati. They're a really bad offensive team. Even though they play fast, they do not score. But they do play really good defense. So that's that's where this comes into play. As far as the side, Xavier's the more balanced team, but I also don't think they're that good. And of course, we know their coach now is the aforementioned Richard Pitino. Xavier hasn't looked that great to start the season. They're up to a -1.5 point favorite here. So the odds makers are telling you Cincinnati is the slightly better team, with Xavier not getting full home court here. Although, of course, home court advantage is not as big for Xavier in a game like this where both teams are from Cincinnati, so both fan bases are going to show up for this. Cincinnati has the better defense and the worse offense, and they play fast, which is weird. Xavier, I think, under Richard Pitino, I believe Xavier also is a fast-tempo team. Yes, they are. So both teams are actually not that good offensively either. So back to, I think under really might be the way to look at this, because even though the teams do play fast pace, which means they're going to be more possessions, they don't shoot well. And they do play decent defense, although it means they're going to be turnovers, transition points, maybe whatever. Under makes sense. The money is saying Xavier. I slightly disagree with that because I think Cincinnati is the better team, but I don't really want to buck that trend with the home team winning this game in recent years either, though. So I'm definitely not giving that out as a play, though. Skyline Chili, yeah, you should try. You got to go to Ohio to try it, though. Although you're not that far away from Ohio. I don't think it exists outside of Ohio, although somebody may be able to correct me on that. It definitely exists in Cincinnati and Columbus. Rachel, thanks for hanging out. What's up? I unblocked you, Rachel. Even though you're mean to me. Saab, you don't have anything in the NBA? Oh, come on, dude. The fire emoji. You know, that's an easy emoji for that one. All right, Notre Dame TCU is the later game that is maybe of interest because it's two bigger conference teams. TCU actually playing pretty well. I mean, they're well coached. They got Jamie Dixon still there, but they're already playing better than I thought they would this year. Notre Dame hasn't been too bad either. Notre Dame is coming off a big win over Missouri. Now they're going out on the road again. Their only other true road game, they did play pretty well, though. They only lost by 1 at Ohio State. Notre Dame definitely battle-tested. I mean, they played pretty respectably against Kansas, Houston. They beat Rutgers. So they've faced a lot of power conference teams already. They're not going to be intimidated by TCU. TCU is coming off some big games, man. They won this tournament, the Rady's Children Invitational in San Diego, by pulling off back-to-back upsets over Florida and Wisconsin. I just thought they wouldn't have anything left after they beat Florida, and they beat us on the show with that Wisconsin play. It wasn't even close. So TCU coming off now multiple big performances. Maybe this is where the letdown comes in for TCU, man. I just don't know if they continue that effort again. Maybe they showed up again with a lot of focus because they actually wanted to win that tournament. I would lean to Notre Dame in this game slightly. TCU's up to a 7.5-point favorite. Somewhat of an ask with a total of 139.5, which is not very high. Points worth more in this game. Yeah, I would lean towards Notre Dame in that game. TCU is the better team. They're moving up the rankings. Ken Pom has them up in like the top 50 now. He's got Notre Dame, I think, in the 70s. Notre Dame could definitely compete here, though. So I would lean towards Notre Dame covering in that one. Cincinnati going under and Xavier going over. Yeah, Cincinnati's offense is terrible, and that is basically the reason why. But, something's got to give in that game, right? But my opinion would be the under, but again, I don't really know much about totals. I don't know if I was right about that total opinion I had in the NBA last night either, which I think was the I forget which game it was. I'll look. It was Utah-Brooklyn, I think. I don't know if that went over or not. It landed on 233. I don't know what the total was, and that was probably right around that. You could be meaner. I dare you. I'm not going to block you again, though. All right. NHL. We have, only a few NHL games here. I do have one play, and it is not one of the games that Saab has brought up yet. Saab is apparently on the Devils in this Vegas versus New Jersey game here. This game gives me some, I struggle to figure this game out, man. I think both teams are in good spots. I mean, Vegas is starting a road trip, and I talk about when a team starts a road trip, it's usually a good spot. It's usually a focused spot. I don't think they're going to be unfocused playing against a team that's as good as New Jersey. Vegas does have a couple of days off, but I don't think that's going to really kill their momentum. It hasn't been that many days off, 2 days. They came off kind of an ugly couple of games, even though they won, so their momentum continues. So they beat San Jose by 1, and then they had to beat Chicago in a shootout. So Vegas, they were pretty big favorites in both those games, and they didn't play that well. So to me, it sets up pretty well for the Knights in this one. But New Jersey's not in a bad spot either. New Jersey, I believe, is staying at home here. If ESPN will actually load, New Jersey just got shut out at home by Dallas, dude, and they've lost all 3 games on this homestand. They're going to want to salvage something here, man. So I agree with Saab that New Jersey is also in a good spot here. Teams that get shut out at home usually play pretty well in the next game. But again, I think both teams are in good spots here. And when you look at the market here, which, of course, pregame is not letting me do that. Something going on with this internet here, man. Looking at the market is telling you that Vegas is actually the better team as they're laying minus 123 on the road, down from minus 125. 79% of tickets on the Devils, 80% of the cash on the Knights, though. So market read is saying the Knights. I mean, I don't really disagree with that. I probably would not disagree with an under in that one, though, with both teams being probably very focused in that one, and definitely a rested Vegas team, and New Jersey staying at home. But for the side, I would have to slightly kind of just lean with the market in that one when I don't really have an opinion on the side otherwise. You want more in the NBA? I'll talk about basically all the NBA games. There are a lot today, but I only have one. All right, fine, deal. Read the bell curve. Yeah, but you're going to disagree with it, even though you're going to read it to be like, well, now I can form an opinion and I can tell you for sure that I disagree with it. That's what's going to happen. But the bell curve it's a good book. I mean, I don't know, there were some opinionated leftists, I would say, that still had to admit that Charles Murray makes some good points in that book. Duke and Michigan State line is how Michigan State is favored. Michigan State must be at home in that game, then I assume. Possibly would be a look towards Michigan State. That the under is going to make sense in that game too, probably. Both teams are pretty good defensively and play slow. Unders in women's college basketball? No. I mean, the totals are adjusted low for a reason because they can't shoot. Yeah. Somebody bet $15K on LeBron to score 10 last night to win only 600. Dude, I would never do that. It's not a good bet. LeBron, he looks really bad right now. And people are going to want to bet him over because he's LeBron. So the books are actually skewing that prop too high too. So it's very stupid to bet those LeBron props over. Giannis faked an injury. He's going to get traded. I don't know which team you're talking about there, though. All right, next game is my play. We're going to be on the Buffalo Sabres, which Saab does not have his eye on. This is my play in hockey, though. Sabres against Winnipeg. Winnipeg's they're just a really public side here, for one thing. 81% of the tickets, only 80% of the cash, and there's a reverse line movement already, driving them down from minus 148 to minus 126. I think as long as you get Buffalo at a decent underdog price here, it's good. It's worth it. Getting an underdog in what I think is a good spot and a decent chance to win the game. Buffalo coming off an ugly 5-2 loss to Philadelphia. They're continuing the road trip, but going out from Philadelphia to Winnipeg, it's almost like you're starting a new road trip in some ways. You know what I mean? So I think they will be focused on this. Meanwhile, the spot is awful for Winnipeg, which is really the majority of this handicap here, is that this is a fade of Winnipeg. We know Winnipeg doesn't have Hellebuck, so they're a lot more fadeable with their elite goalie not playing here. But Winnipeg's also returning home from a road trip, and they've been on the road since Wednesday, November 26th. 5-game road trip. They did badly on the road trip, but the public's instinct is usually that team's going to bounce back now that they're back home. And I'm here to tell you that that is not the way to look at these return home spots. The way to look at them is these teams usually are just not that focused. They have to get back to home life, family life. Things can become a distraction. I realize they lost to Buffalo really ugly 4 days ago, 5-1. So yes, there is a quick revenge component here, but I think this spot is so bad that it pretty much negates that. Winnipeg is coming off a shootout against Montreal. That was a big game. Montreal, I mean, they're still an Original Six team. They're a Canadian team. They're playing better this year. That was a big game for Winnipeg. Now, yeah, they're coming home and they're playing Buffalo, and Buffalo did beat their ass last time. But look at who they play tomorrow, Winnipeg. They got to play Edmonton tomorrow, and then they play Dallas after that. Those are huge games, man. So this looks like they're going to be looking ahead to both of those opponents, man. I forget which one of those teams eliminated them from the playoffs last year, because I don't remember. It was Dallas. So not their next opponent, but their next opponent after that. Have they beaten Dallas this year? I don't think they have. They lost in the opener. I think that was a loss for us on the show, by the way. And that was the only time they played them this year so far. So Dallas is going to be a big upcoming game as well. Yeah, I don't like the spot for Winnipeg at all. Buffalo is the play in that one. That is my one hockey play. All right. San Jose is at Dallas here. Dallas, they're going to be a big favorite here. San Jose is not as good as their record looks. Dallas is returning home from a road trip, though. Although it was only a 2-game road trip, Tuesday and Wednesday. They went out to New York, New Jersey, but they are still returning home from that. So, still, there might be a little bit of a return home component to this, maybe slight distraction, but it won't be as bad. But the fact that they shut New Jersey out in that game, that's a big win, man. And maybe they just don't pay that much attention to the Sharks here. Sharks, still not as good as their record looks. The Sharks are probably going to be pissed after losing ugly 7-1. I thought they might be the right side in that game, although the more that I look at it, Washington was actually kind of in a sandwich spot in that game. So, I don't know. I apologize for kind of overlooking that. Or no, Washington was in a sandwich spot, which is why I kind of liked San Jose, but San Jose wasn't in a good spot either. My apologies. I didn't put enough weight into how bad the spot was for San Jose, coming off playing Vegas to within 1 and then beating Utah and then having Dallas up next. At least it was the reason why I held off of the game completely. But San Jose got destroyed 7-1, and when a team loses by 4+ goals in the NHL, especially at home, they're usually a good side to look at in the next game. So I do not disagree with San Jose in this one. They're getting a huge underdog price. Probably a puck line play on San Jose makes sense here. 77% of tickets, only 58% of the cash on Dallas, down from -300 to -265 on the money line. So there's a reverse line movement there on the towards the San Jose side as well. So that's the way that I would look there. You've read most of the studies. Well, then you're letting your bias get in the way then, I think. The team the Bucks just played, I don't even remember who they just played. Chicago Bulls, I think. Is that who? I don't even remember, dude. Maybe it wasn't the Bulls. I forget. Who the hell was it? Women's college basketball is terrible. Yeah, Caitlin Clark, obviously she would impact the totals, yeah. You're going to join me on Buffalo? All right, well, we better get that one right then. Utah at Vancouver. This game, I didn't really have a whole lot of... I didn't have much of an opinion on this one when I looked at it. Utah did just break a loss streak. And when a team breaks a loss streak, a lot of times that will give them new momentum moving forward. But they did it by crushing Anaheim 7-0 on the road. And Anaheim is a really good home team. So it could also be a letdown spot for Utah coming off of that. It's difficult to read which way you think it's going to go for Utah here. Vancouver is returning home from a road trip. They've been on since Wednesday, November 26th, where they started the road trip by winning at Anaheim as well. Lost to Colorado to finish the road trip, coming back home. Again, I don't think that the return home spot is really a good spot because teams tend to get a little bit distracted. Vancouver does have to play this really hot Minnesota team tomorrow. Minnesota might get more of their attention than Utah does. So for me, slight lean towards Utah here, but the money's disagreeing with it. Utah is a favorite, down from -125 to -123. 58% of the tickets on them, but 68% of the cash on Vancouver. I don't really agree with the market read in that one. I would lean towards Utah. I would lean towards Utah in that one slightly. And then Washington is at Anaheim. Saab has offered an opinion on Anaheim in this one, or that's one of his plays, I guess. I don't disagree with that. I do agree with the Ducks side in this one. Washington, they're on fire, so you do need to step in front of this train if you want to do it, but it might be the spot to do it because they are playing a third game in 4 days, fourth game in 6 days, fifth game in 8 days, all in different cities, winning all of them. My issue is just I think they should still be focused here on Anaheim, even though they did just destroyed San Jose 7-1 in their last game. So when a team wins by that margin, yeah, sometimes they will be in a letdown spot, but I don't know. I mean, I worry that they still will show up for a game against Anaheim, and that's my worry. Scheduling spot's not great, though. And for Anaheim, it's a better spot because they just were on the other end of a game where they lost 7-0 to Utah, which I mentioned. So they're going to want to bounce back from that. Staying at home, definitely a positive spot for Anaheim. I would lean that way, and I think that's probably what Saab is seeing too, where you have one team that won 7-1 in their last game. The other team lost 7-0. So you want to be on the team that lost 7-0 in the next game. You're probably going to get some value here. Anaheim's also still really good at home, even though they've been less good recently. They're still 9-4-0 at home. Washington is good on the road, though, 8-4-1. But I think this line is too high, man. I mean, I know I keep saying that Anaheim is not as good as their record looks, and I still agree with that, but they're getting a big underdog price at home in a spot like this. It's probably a spot to come back and jump in on Anaheim here. Washington up from -140 to -145 on the money line. 56% of tickets, 67% of the cash on Anaheim. Yeah, I agree with Saab in that one. Not a play for me, but I agree with it on the Ducks. Oh, the Pistons. Yeah, that's right. I don't know which team are we talking about here. The Blazers. What? You like the Blazers? Wait a minute. What are we talking? Well, I don't know. Let's look at it now, I guess. I do not agree with you on that one. Let's get into the NBA, I guess. All right. We have the first game up is Lakers-Celtics, man. I mean, this is the game, the big-time rivalry, man. And of course, my rooting interest is, of course, with the Celtics in this game, and I also hate the Lakers on top of that as well. Not just because I'm a Boston fan, but because fuck the Lakers. Not a fan of LeBron. Not a fan of Luka. This is what I got to say about that. Now, the spread here is like, you look at this, you're like, what is going on here? Celtics are a 7-point favorite. Yeah, they're at home, but what do they get for home court? Like, maybe 1.5, 2. I mean, you don't get much home court in NBA at all. And probably this is a situation where maybe they get the most home court advantage because it's a Laker game. 76% of tickets, 78% of the cash on the Lakers. Obviously, the public is going to see this number and only play the Lakers. I mean, how could you be getting points with the team with the way better record, the Lakers? Well, the Lakers have played an easy schedule, man. So the Lakers, they've beaten up on bad teams. They're like 11-1 against teams with losing records, I think, something like that. And against all other teams, they're only 4-4 straight up. So the Lakers have not been as good against good opponents. The Celtics, I think, qualify as a good opponent, even though they're not great like they were the last couple of years. This line being at 7 almost makes me think Luka's not playing, though. Like, there's no way that this line would be 7 if this was a full roster here. And Luka was out for personal reasons last night, but I thought that was just because the Lakers wanted to rest him so that he'd play here. But this line almost seems to be indicating he's not playing. Because otherwise, there's no way. Again, like, if Luka was playing, you got to think the Celtics would be like maybe a 2.5-point favorite here, 3 at most. So it doesn't make sense. Both teams are on the back-to-back here. Obviously, I'm not going to give out a play on this game. Lakers just beat Toronto last night, even without Luka and without Marcus Smart. Now they're traveling down to Boston from Toronto. Beating Toronto, not a bad win. Toronto's been good. Obviously, both teams will show up for this game, though, because it's a huge rivalry game. Celtics also played yesterday and won in a blowout, but they had an easier time of it, man. So the spot does set up better for the Celtics a little bit because they just blew out Washington yesterday. And again, that was a loss for us on the show. I thought that was a terrible spot for the Celtics. I mean, they just made a run where they beat Orlando, beat Detroit, almost beat Minnesota on the road, beat Cleveland on the road, got playoff revenge against the Knicks, and then they still went into Washington without Jaylen Brown playing and just crushed them by 35. I mean, the fact that the Celtics did that in a bad spot shows me something, man, because I know the Celtics, and I was thinking that was going to be a completely flat spot for the Celtics. I was completely wrong about that. Yeah, now they're traveling back from Washington, but I think the travel is a little bit easier for them. Celtics had a much easier game yesterday than LA did. Both teams rested their best player. So I wouldn't disagree with the Celtics side here generally, but like if it was where I thought the price was going to be, laying the points might make sense, but 7 makes absolutely no sense. So, I mean, this is like you got to figure out who's playing, who's not playing here. But But again, the public is definitely going to be taking the points of the Lakers. It looks way too easy to do that. So hopefully the Celtics just win for my rooting interest, and that's what I'll say about that. Oh, so Luka's not playing. All right. That's what I thought with the line being that high. So, all right. He's in Slovenia for the birth of a child. Pussy. Come on, man. Like, dude, like, I've seen, like, Bruins players, like, be in the hospital for the birth of their child, and then they're there playing that night in the playoffs. Like, let's go, man. Be a man. It's a man's sport. Come on. Play the game. Thank you, Jeffrey. Yes, I was not aware of that. Mini Luka is being born or whatever. I don't know if is it a boy? I don't know. Is he going to be the next NBA star? Pistons play the Bucks in a couple of days. So I'm going to talk about this Pistons game in a second. Yeah, Lakers Celtics. Part of the reason why the total is low though is because of the injuries. Well, not injuries, but because of the players being out for both sides. But also, both teams are going to come with defensive intensity in that game. So I'm not really going to disagree with an under in that one. Yeah, Draymond, of course he's saying that. I don't know what's going on with Draymond, but whatever. Heat Magic, I think, is the next game up. Yeah. This is a big game for both teams, I think, too. Both teams don't like each other here. Do I agree with Saab in this one? I think I do. The Heat, they're coming off that ugly loss. We took a loss on that on the show. Jeffrey got that one right. Heat at Dallas. Although, if you look at the box score in that game, man, it was a massive outlier of a game, like shooting percentage-wise between both teams. Miami had a horrific shooting game. Dallas shot the lights out. Miami had way more possessions in the game. No excuse for losing that game. Miami, probably they were looking ahead to Orlando, though. Which I didn't know. I didn't think that was going to be that much of a concern, but I think maybe they were. Orlando is also coming off a loss, but it was a close loss to San Antonio at home. But yeah, I'll agree with Saab. I think the spot does set up better because Miami is coming off an uglier loss, so the spot sets up better for Miami. 80% of the tickets on the Heat, though. The public, they're going to see Miami installed as an underdog, and they will be on the Miami side, but I think the actual professional money is also there as well. Magic down from 6 to 5.5. I don't disagree with the Heat in that game, even though they are the better record getting points. But even so, the public's not always going to get it wrong. Draymond is having a child as well. He's just like, yeah, you go deal with it. Draymond, he is kind of a dick, man. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be in the hospital at all. I'm saying that Luka should have flown his wife out and she should have given birth during the game. But, hey, I'll take it if he's not playing against the Celtics. But maybe the Celtics will take it too easy against the Lakers with Luka not there. So maybe that worries me a little bit. Although, you saw what the Celtics did to Luka in the finals against Dallas. So, Celtics, they didn't necessarily stop Luka, but they stopped Dallas because Luka couldn't do everything himself. So, but he's not going to be in this game anyway. So I don't know. Maybe the Celtics will take them a little bit lightly. Denver Nuggets are at Atlanta. Denver bounced back with a win against Indiana a couple days ago. Now they're traveling to Atlanta. It's not a bad spot for Denver, but I would probably lean towards taking the points with Atlanta here. Atlanta mired in a bad stretch, and they had a horrible loss against the Clippers the other night, which was a win for us here on the show. Jumping in on that Clippers team that can't win at all, they got a blowout win there. That was a terrible spot for Atlanta. Coming off wins over Cleveland, double overtime win over Philadelphia, almost beating Detroit, and then coming back home with Denver coming up next. Sandwich spot, terrible spot. I expect a bounce back from Atlanta here. If I was going to play this, I would take the points with the Hawks. 86% of tickets, 98% of the cash on the Nuggets, though, is a 6-point road favorite. Nuggets are not really in a bad spot, though, and they are certainly a very good team, so that is what you're having to deal with in that game. The spot is bad for the Lakers. It's somewhat bad for both. Both teams played yesterday, although the Celtics had an easier time of it yesterday, like I said. But the Lakers have a thin roster with Luka not there. The Celtics rested Jaylen Brown yesterday, and he'll play tonight. So the Celtics, they've been resting guys, man. Like, they have a more rested team because the Celtics also, in the game against Cleveland, I think Derek White didn't play in that game. So the Celtics have been resting guys in a bunch of different games here. So they're pretty fresh, and probably they'll have their full lineup playing in this game against the Lakers. San Antonio at Cleveland. Maybe this is what I was thinking of instead of the Detroit game. I forget at this point, man. I forget what I'm thinking half the time. San Antonio, nice win over Orlando. They're playing a third game in 4 days now. Fourth game in 6 days. Fifth game in 8 days. And actually a sixth game in 10 days. Is that right? Did I do that math right? All in different cities. That is not easy, dude. This travel situation for San Antonio is ridiculous. And it's ridiculous that we did not get the cover with Memphis in that game a couple of days ago. Still pissed about that. But this scheduling spot is really difficult for San Antonio. They're just playing way too many games in short succession. Cleveland's coming off an ugly loss to Portland, which Saab is pointing out. Yeah, so I actually might not disagree with him on the but actually, I don't know. I forget what he was saying in the other game. But in this game, I lean towards Cleveland. I mean, they're more rested. They're staying at home. They're coming off a pretty bad loss by double digits to Portland. They've lost 4 of the last 5. Yeah, I know Cleveland's a little bit injured right now. They're without Garland and Jared Allen here, but still, I expect Cleveland to win this one. My opinion would be they win and cover here, but the money's coming in against me. It's coming in towards the Spurs. I would lay it with Cleveland, though. Cleveland down from 6 to 4.5, which almost seems to indicate there are more personnel issues here with Cleveland, but I looked, and those were the main things that I saw. Garland and Allen are both out, but that's already been the case, so I don't know. Maybe there's some news I'm unaware of. 57% of tickets, 77% of the cash on the Spurs side. I lean towards the Cavs in that one, though. Portland at Detroit. Back-to-back travel. Toronto to Boston, correct. No Luka, and LeBron is old. Yeah, it's a thin roster right now for LA there. But laying 7 with Boston seems a little bit crazy. So I'm not going to do it. I mean, I lean towards the Celtics. I think the Celtics will win, and hopefully I'm right for my own biases, but I don't want to lay that number. Although if you forced me to pick a side in that one, I guess I would lay it, but it seems just awful. Portland at Detroit. Portland, as Saab is pointing out, they're coming off that huge win over Cleveland. Big upset win. Now they got to turn around, face Detroit. Third game in 4 days. Maybe Saab was saying he likes Detroit in this one. Is that what you were saying? Because I do think I agree with Detroit in this one, which is what I was saying before. Portland, I mean, this run of games they've been on is crazy. They almost beat Oklahoma City again, and they took Oklahoma City basically to the wire, went out on the road and still covered against us and beat me with my Toronto play. Toronto was up 16 in the third quarter in that game and didn't even cover. Portland played tough in that game. Then they turn around the very next night and they upset Cleveland. Now they got to face Detroit. Yeah, usually you're going to be focused on a team like Detroit, but Portland might just have nothing left in the tank at this point, man. And Detroit is coming off that loss to Milwaukee. Yeah, I like Detroit in this game. Yeah, the spot just looks way worse for the Trailblazers to me. The line is indicating, I mean, the money's indicating against me on this one, but I would probably lay it with the Pistons. 73% of tickets, only 72% of the cash on them. They're down from 8 to 7.5, but I just don't know if the Blazers have anything left, man, with how difficult that schedule is. So I do not like that one. So I think I disagree with Saab on that one then. You got the Cavs at -5, yeah. Mr. Pinsey, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. I started a little bit earlier today. Heat, I agree with. Cavs, I agree with. Blazers, like I said, I do not agree with that one. Big money. Don't overextend yourself, man. Even if I'm really confident in a play, you should never put more than don't bet more than you can afford, but you never want to bet some extreme amount on one play because nothing's ever a lock. I don't think the Cowboys are a fraud, really. I think they're a decent team, and they have a really, really good offense. Their defense is not very good. But, yeah, I mean, the Cowboys, I picked them to make the playoffs in my preseason preview, and the only reason they won't make the playoffs is because the NFC they have way too many teams with good records in the NFC right now. I was correct about the Cowboys being second place in their division. I thought they'd be the last team to get into the playoffs. It still could happen, but it's probably not because there are just too many teams with good records. Obviously, the Bears are the huge fraud here, and I expected the Bears to not make the playoffs, obviously, which they probably shouldn't. But yes, just don't put too much money on any individual game, man, is what I will say. The Jazz are at the Knicks. This game, I don't know if this game really had any interest to me at all. The Jazz are on a back-to-back, though. They just won at Brooklyn last night. I thought they were not in a good spot there. I mean, the Jazz had beaten Houston the game before that, and they had the Knicks today and Oklahoma City up next. So I don't know how the Jazz stayed focused in that game against Brooklyn and won the game easily, but now they're on a back-to-back, but at least for them, they're staying in New York City. New York coming off an easy win over Charlotte, but they did have a day off, and they're staying at home, so I don't know. The spot probably still a little bit better for the Knicks. They do have Orlando up next, and they did lose at Orlando the last time they played them, so possible look ahead there for the Knicks. I mean, the line is up to 15.5. 50% of the tickets, 69% of the cash on the Jazz. I don't think I would want to grab the points with the Jazz here, though, man. On a back-to-back, Jazz are 2-7 on the road, and the Knicks are really good at home, 11-1 at home. I would probably still lean towards laying the points with the Knicks there. It's possible that game gets out of hand, but I'm not going to play that game at all. Charlotte at Toronto. This is going to be my play, actually. We're going to go right back to the well and hope that we get it, because I think we got this one the previous time, if I remember correctly. Let's get the Hornets to do it again for us, man. The plus 7.5. I think it was 8.5 the other time we did this, but not a huge difference. 7 is really kind of the key number in basketball because teams stop intentionally fouling at the 3-possession threshold. But we're going to go right back with it, man, and take Charlotte again. They did. Actually, I don't know if we were on this game or not. Were we or not? I forget. But Charlotte did beat Toronto in overtime on November 29th. So I know it looks like it could be a revenge spot here. I know in both of my plays here, I'm fading that quick revenge spot. But Charlotte, they haven't won since then. I mean, they were in a letdown spot off of that. And we definitely got the win on Brooklyn in the game after that because I thought it was a major letdown spot for Charlotte. Then Charlotte tried to bounce back against the Knicks. They weren't able to do it. Now they're going back to Toronto here. But this is all about fading Toronto, though. I mean, the spot, I mean, I guess it's not the greatest for Charlotte here, but really it's all about fading Toronto. Toronto, they just played yesterday against the Lakers, and they lost on a buzzer beater 3 by Hachimura right at the buzzer. I mean, that is a brutal way to lose to a team like the Lakers. That was a huge game for Toronto. Now they have to play again tonight, and they got to go play Boston on Sunday, so they're sandwiched in between the Celtics-Lakers rivalry. It's a Celtics-Lakers rivalry sandwich here, even though, yes, I know Charlotte did beat them in Charlotte back on November 29th. I just don't see it, man. This looks like a mega sandwich spot that Toronto is in. So this is my one play of the day here in the NBA. It is the Hornets plus the points. Might be able to get a little bit more on this. 89% of tickets, 95% of the cash on the Raptors for now. But they're really, really public. So this is going to be a fade of the public at the very least. And you might get a better number on this, like I said, because it looks like at least initially maybe some of the cash percentages here on the Raptors. I don't think it's going to be that way when the game goes off. We'll see. But Charlotte plus the points is the play there. Yeah, it's just a fade of Toronto really there. Lakers minus 3.5. Wait, what? Pinsy, what are you doing, man? The Lakers were a 2.5-point underdog in that game. I don't know what we're talking about here, unless you did an alt line or something like that. Or was it a live bet? I don't know, because like the line on the game itself was Toronto like minus 2.5 because of Luka being out. Alternate spread, man. You should have just taken the Lakers plus. I would have just taken the Lakers plus the 2.5, man. That would have been the way to play it. Like, why get greedy? Don't get greedy, man. Lakers plus the points and or money line would have been a winner on that one. Okay, what else we got? Oh, Indiana at Chicago. Indiana. I mean, obviously Indiana. I mean, they're having a bad season. I mean, they're an injured team. They just lost to Denver in their last game. They get to go out on the road for a single game, though, and maybe it'll help them focus a little bit to just get out of there, go on the road. Chicago's been awful recently, too, though. They've lost 5 games in a row, I think. Now losing to Brooklyn in their last game, which was a return home spot, though. So I talk about how bad that return home spot is. Sometimes teams just aren't focused. And Chicago did lose to Indiana on the road during that road trip. So to me, it does look like a focused spot for Chicago here. When a team loses in that first game back home, they usually do a lot better in the next game. Now they're settled. They get whatever they had to do at home out of the way. It's a quick revenge spot here as well. So Chicago, probably the way to look in this game. Money seems to disagree. Bulls down from 5.5 to 4.5 here. 64% of tickets on them, 68% of the cash on the Pacers. I don't agree with that market read, though. I would lean to the Bulls in that game. Phoenix at Houston in the next episode of the Kevin Durant series, if we want to call it that. Phoenix did just lose to Houston really badly at home on November 24th by 22 points, so debatably it is a bounce-back spot for Phoenix. Problem is they just beat L.A. They just beat the Lakers on the road, man, and Devin Booker got hurt in the game, so that's another part of the situation here. So it's like, what do we do here? Because on the surface, it looks like it's a letdown spot for Phoenix. I mean, they just beat L.A., but on the other hand, they just got smacked by Houston the last time they played them. I mean, I don't think they're going to overlook Houston here, man. And they have multiple days off. They haven't played since Monday, so I think that kind of mitigates the look ahead. And now Booker is out, so this is going to be an injured player spot that Phoenix is in. I talk about this when your star player goes down. A lot of times the team will step up their game in the first game without him because they know they have to play harder with that guy out of there. So there are definitely some things in favor of Phoenix in this game. So it's not really just a simple letdown spot. For Houston, they just returned home and they won in a blowout against Sacramento. So they're just in a second game back home, continuing to play at home. It's not exactly a bad spot for Houston. So I'm not coming in on this game at all. But it is a really, really weird spot. The money is coming in on Phoenix. Houston down from 14.5 to 11. I think most of the reason for that move is probably the Booker injury. So, when are we talking about? Houston dropped from 14.5 to 11. I don't know what's going on with that because you got to think that Houston, I guess Houston just would be less big of a favorite if Booker was playing, though. So I don't know. I don't know what prompted that line move. My mistake there. 50% of tickets, 70% of the cash on the Suns. You know, I still might lean to the Suns just because Houston might overlook them a little bit because, again, the Suns, having just got blown out by the Rockets, the Suns are going to have the adjustments to make. Suns are likely to step up their game here with their star player injured. They have extra time to prepare for this. So I don't hate the Suns' side in that game, despite the fact that they just beat the Lakers. I don't think that the letdown is actually the way to handicap that game. So, slight lean towards the Suns plus the points in that one. Houston's very, very good, though, and they're very, very big in size. Alternate spread, no. Do not do that. Do not get greedy. I mean, it was getting really dicey for Houston, or for Detroit to even win by the 3 last night. I mean, the other way to have done that game would have been to like moneyline parlay it with something else because I thought it was highly unlikely that Detroit was going to lose the game, obviously. Personal and rest, same as injury spots. Not entirely. I think maybe in that first game, I don't know, because no, I don't think you do because the injury is unexpected. So when the injury happens, the team like almost rallies in the next game, whereas the rest is like expected. So it's almost more of like a mundane thing. The rest sometimes almost indicates that the team doesn't care about the game. So it's a lot more difficult to gauge what rest is going to do. Rest could go either way. So I don't think they are the same. Yeah, well, I mean, everything is pretty much rigged, but I mean, I just go with the situational handicapping that I've been doing for almost 2 decades, man. Clippers are at Memphis. Clippers are coming off that blowout win over Atlanta. That did break a long loss streak for them, so maybe they will have momentum coming into this one against Memphis. Memphis just lost a win streak against San Antonio. Again, I'm pissed about that. They should have covered that game. They were winning by 1 with 3 minutes left in the game. Now they're coming back home from a road trip as well, so it's not a good spot for Memphis. And by the way, they beat the Clippers during the road trip too, so Memphis coming back home from all that could be a distracted spot, man, for them. On the return home spot, got to get back to doing stuff at home, whatever. So I think the Clippers are the right side in this one. They're up from a pick'em to a 1.5 point favorite. So the odds makers are telling you the Clippers are the better team. They're laying points on the road. 87% of tickets, 93% of the cash on the Clippers. So the money is coming in on the Clippers. I'm not going to disagree with it. I don't quite want to get there with that one, but that would be a lean for me as well towards the Clippers. Rachel? She is a, I don't know, what do we want to call Rachel? She's a woke progressive who claims to be a libertarian. She likes to give me a hard time, and I do the same to her. Philadelphia and Milwaukee. Philadelphia, they just beat Golden State yesterday, so I mean that's a big win, even though it was Golden State without Steph Curry. Big win for Philadelphia nonetheless. Philadelphia was without Paul George, I think, in that game. I don't know if he's back in this game or not. I have no idea. I never know who's playing for Philadelphia, man. So their games are pretty difficult to handicap. I mean, we could look at we got to look at the injury report for this. Embiid, game time decision. Paul George, game time decision. We don't know what they're doing, man. We never know what's going on. Embiid, his knee is terrible. We know this. Embiid played in that last game. It looks like he is available, so he's probably playing. George, we don't see any news on him yet, so we don't know if George is playing or not. Oubre is out, and then we know Giannis is out on the Milwaukee side. So does that mean this is an injured player spot again? Giannis got injured right at the beginning of that Detroit game, so I guess, yes, it is an injured player spot for Milwaukee here. Because again, it's going to be it's going to be their first game in the new episode of Giannis being injured, and Milwaukee is coming off beating Detroit in that game without him, though. So, I mean, is it an injured player spot or is it a letdown spot? I don't know, man. I mean, maybe Milwaukee will step it up without Giannis here, but they're also coming off a game against Detroit, so this is a very difficult game to handicap. I mean, I almost think you're psycho if you want to try to bet the side in this game. 68% of tickets, 70% of the cash on the Sixers. The Republic side, they're down from -1.5 to 1. I mean, the fact that the Sixers are public and the line looks like it's kind of moving against them almost makes me want to lean towards the Bucks in the injured player spot, which because I talked about it in that other game, I think maybe it trumps the letdown spot, although in this case, I don't know. I mean, the other one, I think it trumps it more because Booker is usually there, so it's going to be a different thing with him not there, but Giannis is like always not playing. That's the other thing about rest is that it's much more predictable, so teams are just used to it, but I actually think that's kind of a bad thing for the team because, like, Giannis is always, like, in and out of the lineup, so I think as far as, like, is the team going to, like, seriously step up their game now with him out of the lineup again? I'm not so sure. So that's really the problem there, and the guy's always injured. And then we have Dallas at Oklahoma City. This Dallas team, I mean, I can't really get a good gauge on them. They just pulled off that upset over Miami in a return home spot. Going back out on the road again to face Oklahoma City. I mean, they're not going to be unfocused here. Dallas has pulled off 3 big wins in a row, though. Well, 3 wins in a row against the Clippers, a huge one against Denver, both of those on the road, so they were underdogs in both of those. And then another underdog win at home against Miami. So 3 straight underdog wins. Usually I'm going to look to fade a team when they've won 3 straight games as an underdog. Oklahoma City, they're returning home, but they only went to Portland and Golden State, so it was a short road trip coming back home. Oklahoma City, I mean, they're just absolutely dominant at home. Doesn't even really matter who's in the lineup for them. I would probably lay the points with the Thunder in this one. They're a 15-point favorite, 73% of the cash on them, 58% of tickets on the Mavs. Public kind of likes the Mavs because they're winning recently, and it looks like a lot of points here, but I would probably lay it if I was going to play that game with the Thunder. Was it a fake injury? I don't even know, man. So that makes the injured player spot even less credible, I guess, if he faked an injury. I don't know what's going on, man. Giannis, I just think he doesn't want to play on that team anymore. When he came back from the previous injury, he was complaining that the team wasn't playing hard. So he's going to get traded. I just hope he doesn't get traded to the Lakers. That would really piss me off. I hope he winds up anywhere else. But I do have a Giannis Bucks jersey, and I'll have to burn it if he goes to the Lakers. A big win for the Sixers, yeah. All right, that is it for the NBA. I mean, I don't even know if I love that Charlotte play, to be honest. I don't like the NBA board at all today. So, yeah, I mean, bad spot for the Raptors, though, so that's where we're going there. And then we do have college football. I do have one play, but the line is moving in the game that I like here. So, I don't know. He fought with his team. Yeah, that Bucks team is a disaster. College football, it is conference championship week, man. I don't know if I'll be back tonight or if I'll just do tomorrow. Maybe I'll do it tonight. I don't know. I got to figure out. I got to look at what the basketball schedule looks like tomorrow, because I know you guys are used to my night games, my night shows for football, but there just isn't that much this week because it's championship week, so we only have the conference championships. But it lets me split them up half and half, basically. So we have 4 of them tonight. First one up is the Sunbelt, which is the least interesting one. On ESPN at 7 p.m., James Madison hosting this game. This game is at James Madison because these smaller conferences, the better team or the team with the better record, whatever, the team that's the top seed gets to host. Troy is the team coming out of the other half of the Sun Belt. They were able to beat Southern Miss or whatever to get into this one. I don't think Troy should even be here, to be honest, although a lot of times when people say that, the team does surprise you. Southern Miss is better than Troy, though, and Troy was able to get through them to get into this game, although they're probably going to get smacked by James Madison. I mean, James Madison, they're a good team. They're up to a 23.5-point favorite here, although they are the public side, 87% of tickets, only 83% of the cash, and with the total ridiculously low, well, not ridiculously, but pretty low at 47.5, 47 now. It looks a little bit difficult to lay the points with JMU, although I would worry about that a little bit because I'm not coming in on this game at all. Like, yes, Troy does play decent defense. Their offense is terrible. So one way to look at this maybe is Troy under their team total if you think it's going to be a low-scoring game. But the thing about James Madison is they could get into the playoff, and that is what they want to do. So they don't want to just win this game and win the Sun Belt. They need style points. So that's the thing that worries me about like the under in this game or taking Troy plus the points here. What worries me is that James Madison might intentionally run up the score here because they need style points. James Madison, they're a really good team. They're balanced on offense. Curt Cignetti left this program to go to Indiana, and this program has been really good since he was there and since he built it up. Really, really good, man. James Madison, they do run the football a lot, which might shorten the game, so that aspect of it does kind of look like an under type of game with James Madison being a good rushing team, Troy being more of a defense-oriented team. But James Madison, they can still throw the ball too, and they play good defense. They're good on all sides of the ball. And they may still cover again because they might run up the score, but also when they have a big lead, if they're running the football, that's what they do well. So they might be able to still pad the lead by running the football. So I don't want to get involved in this game at all. But, yeah, I mean, I guess if you look at the market, the opinion would be to take the points with Troy. It makes sense with a total that's that low. But, again, I worry that James Madison is just going to start running the score up in this one to try to get into the playoff. And out of the teams that can make the playoff, so the way the playoff works is there are no auto bids for these conferences, right? So, like the winner of the ACC, if it's Duke, Duke isn't even going to get in. So if Duke wins we'll talk about Duke tomorrow, but if they win the ACC championship, they're still going to not make the playoff. If Virginia wins, I think they will get in. But all that being said, so some of these other teams need to lose and whatever, but James Madison, they have a really good shot to get into the playoffs, like a better shot to get in than North Texas and Tulane, partially because North Texas and Tulane are playing each other, but James Madison, if they win in blowout fashion here, the committee's going to take note, and I think because they have the Curt Cignetti pedigree, they might make the playoffs. So I don't really want to fade James Madison in that spot, although nobody's giving Troy any credit, though. So Troy, they are pretty much free rolling here because Troy did not expect to be in this game. So Troy can come in and play really loose because nobody's expecting anything from Troy. So there is that aspect of this game. The game is also going to be cold, though. It's in Virginia, but it's going to be freezing temperatures, 29 degrees, which I think is probably worse for Troy because they're from Alabama. James Madison, this is in Virginia, so Virginia at least a little bit more used to the cold. And because JMU runs the football, it might not hurt James Madison that much, although it might hurt the scoring a little bit. But Troy also, they were defensive teams, so they're probably not going to be that affected by the freezing temps either there. A lot going on in that game, man, which I do not want to touch it at all. No, National Football Lottery. I'll have to check that out. I don't know what it is. Kennesaw and Jacksonville State are in the Conference USA Championship. Sorry to Justin, I guess, although his Missouri State team, I think, was ineligible to be in this game. Jacksonville State, I believe, won this thing last year, so maybe they don't quite care about this as much, although, again, I think this was one of their goals this year to win it again, but I believe they did win it last year. They beat Western Kentucky in the championship last year, and then they lost the staff DNA Cure Bowl to the MAC champion, Ohio, last year. So Jacksonville State, they did win this championship last year. Now, Jacksonville State wasn't expected to do as much this year because they lost Rich Rod. I think he was their coach last year. He left, went to West Virginia. Jacksonville State had a lot of turnover. They had rebuilt their team here, but they played well. Kennesaw, I mean, they might want this game a little bit more, though, because Kennesaw, they're really new to FBS. Like, this is their first year where I think they're actually eligible to get into these postseason games. So they might want this thing more, man. Both teams, by the way, are coming up big games. Kennesaw just beat Liberty to get into this thing, and Jacksonville State beat Western Kentucky. So they both just beat pretty good teams to get to make sure that they got into this game. So I don't think there's going to be a letdown component really one way or the other because both teams came off a big game here. Kennesaw did just play Jacksonville State at Jacksonville State, which is also where this game is. This game is in Alabama. So Kennesaw did just play here. And yes, Jacksonville State beat them by 9 points. But if you look at what happened in this game, it was extremely misleading. Kennesaw outgained Jacksonville State 579 to 451 in the game. And they lost the game because they had -4 in turnovers. So this game, you can't just look at the final score, man. You look at the box score, Kennesaw State outplayed Jacksonville State in this game, man. They just made a lot of mistakes. They had a ton of penalties as well. They dominated the first downs, 32-18. Dominated time of possession by almost 9 minutes. So Kennesaw was the better team. So that's misleading. And Kennesaw is going to have the adjustments to make here because they lost that game. So with Jacksonville State, it's like, well, most things work, so what do you have to fix? Kennesaw could certainly fix what went wrong in that game because really it was just mental mistakes in that game, so they could definitely fix that. So I do like Kennesaw in this one. The money seems to disagree with it. Kennesaw did initially flip from a 1.5 point dog to a 2.5 point favorite. I think at a 1.5 point dog, that line was way off. Because if you look at the line, well, you can't see it anymore on ESPN here, but Kennesaw was a small favorite in the other game against Jacksonville State. So this line is more in line with where it was then. Although, I mean, it's not a huge difference really between one team being 1.5, the other team being 2.5. Obviously, you'd rather get points, but it's kind of all within that range where it's basically, you're going to basically be picking the winner here. 68% of tickets, only 55% of the cash on the Kennesaw side, but I would lean towards Kennesaw in this one. And the money is coming in on the over, even though it's a public side. The total is all the way up to 60.5. I wouldn't really disagree with the over in this one. I mean, I know the other game was fairly high scoring too, but you saw the yardage in that game. That game probably should have been higher scoring. Both teams had a ton of yardage in that game, so the over kind of makes sense here, even though usually in a championship game, you kind of expect more intense defense and you kind of want to lean towards unders, but in this game, I don't really think so. The weather, I mean, it's going to be cool. It's going to be 46 degrees there, so we'll see what happens there. Both teams are kind of warm weather teams there. North Texas and Tulane in the American Championship. North Texas ranked 24, Tulane ranked 20. Now, the loser of this game is going to be certainly eliminated from the playoff. The winner of this game has a chance to make the playoff, although I think it's still kind of unlikely. Like the winner of this game, I think you would definitely need Duke to beat Virginia at the very least for the winner of this game to get into the playoff, but it is possible. But really, they'd need James Madison to lose, and that's probably not going to happen. And that game's being played at the same time. But these teams are going to show up. I think they're going to try to win the game. Like, the game matters to both teams. But I think the public is going to be all on North Texas here because North Texas had a great offense. So that's what the public loves. They love offense, but they're probably kind of ignoring the fact that Tulane is a pretty balanced team, probably more balanced than North Texas. North Texas is a very public side. They're a 3-point favorite now, so you might be able to get the +3 on Tulane. Oh, this is a very high total. It's 66.5, so taking the points is a little bit less tempting in a game like this. 74% of tickets, 67% of the cash on North Texas. Money coming in against them. I agree with taking the points with Tulane in this one. This game is at Tulane. North Texas, these teams didn't play this year, I don't think, against each other, so there's no... we don't have any data point there from these teams playing each other. This game is at Tulane. As far as the weather is concerned, it's supposed to be kind of disgusting. It's going to be 50 and rainy. So that might actually be bad for North Texas because they like to air it out. They like to throw the football. And even though slick surfaces sometimes make the defense fuck up and not know where the offense is going to go, I think that rain and cool weather might actually impact North Texas's throwing. And we're also looking at a quarterback situation that I think favors Tulane here because even though everybody's talking about North Texas's offense, Mestamaker, their quarterback, set that record, but he's a redshirt freshman, man, so he is not used to playing in a game of this magnitude, whereas Tulane, their quarterback is Jake Retzlaff, who he's used to big games because he was at BYU last year, and they kicked him out of the program because he had sex with, I assume, a woman. He's got to be hetero, right? So Tulane, they have the more experienced quarterback, man. And also I think he's a junior or whatever. So I think Tulane has a quarterback experience edge in this game for sure. Now, North Texas, they've also faced an easier schedule as well. Like, people are going to see this 11-1 record, but who have they played? Like, their out-of-conference schedule was unbelievably easy. They beat Western Michigan in overtime. I know Western Michigan, they're in the MAC championship, but we'll talk about that game tomorrow. Western Michigan's pretty good. Their defense is good, but I don't think they're the best team in the MAC. And North Texas had to go into overtime to beat that team. They beat Washington State. I know they crushed them, but it was a bad spot for Washington State. Washington State's not that good. Then North Texas had to go to overtime to beat Army. And then they didn't do that well against South Alabama. And then their conference schedule is unbelievably easy, except for South Florida. And South Florida murdered them in a primetime home game where North Texas should have shown up in that game. They lost 63-36. So this resume of North Texas does not inspire much confidence in me, man. I'm sorry. I know their offense is good, but their conference schedule after facing South Florida was really, really easy up until, yes, I know they beat Temple. Temple's fairly solid. They crushed them, but Tulane is much more battle-tested. If you look at their schedule, they beat Duke. They beat Northwestern, so they have multiple power conference wins. And again, they have a power conference quarterback. They lost to Ole Miss, but they at least played Ole Miss. So they're definitely more battle-tested, dude. And their schedule in conference was more difficult because they had to play on the road at UTSA, where UTSA plays really well on the road. They won on the road at Memphis, and North Texas didn't even have to face Memphis. And we know Memphis was right there in the running in the conference. Tulane also did beat Army, although it was at home, and they beat Temple convincingly on the road. And they had an easier game last week against Charlotte, whereas North Texas was getting that win over Temple last week, which was a more difficult game. Tulane was having just an easy game against Charlotte that nobody's even going to pay attention to. Oh, they beat this awful Charlotte team in an ugly game, 27-0. No one's going to care about that. I like Tulane in this one. This one almost makes my card. I like it. Tulane plus the points makes sense. Tulane eliminated, the Temple Owls. Yeah, did Temple have a shot to make the championship game? Before that, they might have. All right, my play, though, and this line is moving. It's in no man's land, though, so I think you could probably still lay it where it is. We're going to be on Boise State minus, it was 4, last night into this morning, and then it was 4.5 this morning. It's 5 now. But, I mean, there's not much of a difference. 4.5, 5, 5.5, there's almost no difference. 4 is slightly better, but I still think this number is way too low. We're going with Boise State in the Mountain West Championship here. UNLV, I mean, you want to talk about fraudulent. That's what I've been saying about UNLV. I still think that's the case here. The public is not going to want anything to do with Boise State because they've been playing really ugly football recently. And Boise State, they're like 8-4, and UNLV's 10-2. So why would the public be laying points with Boise State? Well, you could have said that when Boise State played UNLV during the season too, right? Like, why would you want to lay points with Boise? Well, guess what happened in that game? Boise won and they covered. And yes, I know Boise had their starting quarterback still intact in that game with Madison, but we'll talk about him in a minute. 51% of tickets, 73% of the cash on Boise. The actual money is definitely coming in on Boise here. It is not a low total, so in that respect, I mean, winning by margin is going to be easier to do. Now, Boise has owned UNLV. Like, people might talk about, oh, well, it's revenge for UNLV because Boise beat UNLV this year. Yeah, but Boise also won the Mountain West Championship last year against UNLV. They also beat UNLV during the regular season last year. I don't even know when the last time UNLV beat Boise State is. Boise State just owns them. So it gets to a point where revenge just isn't really a thing. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, UNLV wants to beat them. It'll be huge, but Boise just has their number, man. And this UNLV team, they're not as good as they were last year. I know they're 10-2. I know you guys seem to like Dan Mullins. I do not. UNLV has also faced a really weak schedule. I mean, we'll talk about this too. Boise's schedule has been way more difficult. UNLV, the best team that they played out of conference was, I guess, UCLA. And that was when UCLA was playing really poorly and then wound up firing their coach. I'm not putting much weight into that win. And then they should have lost at Miami, Ohio, who we'll talk about tomorrow because they're in the MAC championship game. They're a pretty good MAC team, but UNLV, that was a loss for us on the show. We had Miami, Ohio plus the 2.5, and I wish I got to it earlier with the 4.5. But Miami, Ohio blew the game. They were winning the game by double digits late, so that was the game where UNLV pulled the win out of their ass. UNLV also should not have won this Wyoming game, which we saw. This is a weird snow game, and Wyoming dominated them, outgaining them by over 100 yards, and it was really just the turnover battle. UNLV had multiple fluke touchdowns in that game. Shouldn't have won that game. They barely beat Air Force. Then, like I said, they got crushed by Boise State. And by the way, Boise State was a 13-point favorite in that game. So now we're looking at them being a 4.5, 5-point favorite here. Well, what has changed? And we're going to talk about the quarterback situation because he's actually back. Madison is back. So given that fact, why would this line be 8 points off from where it was in this game? It makes no sense to me at all. So it's almost like you just have to do it. You have to take the line value here. Boise won that game easily. Boise was a 13-point favorite in that game. Again, there's no reason why they should be a 5-point favorite here. Like, yeah, if you want to argue 13 was too many, okay, but like, what should the line be? 10? Like, 8? I mean, 5 seems absolutely absurd. And then UNLV also lost to New Mexico, which we'll talk about them in a minute as well, because Boise beat New Mexico. So New Mexico was the other team that had the shot to make this game. New Mexico came from out of nowhere this year and played really well. But Boise beat New Mexico and UNLV did not. And then the rest of the schedule, really easy for UNLV. I know Utah State, pretty good team, but UNLV had to go to double overtime to beat them. And they just had a really easy schedule otherwise, man. Colorado State down this year. They got Hawaii at home, so they didn't have to go out to Hawaii. Hawaii not as good coming to the mainland. And then they beat Nevada to finish it off. I thought Nevada would cover in that game. Nevada's just awful, though. It's a big rivalry game, but they just suck. So now we're looking at Boise State again here. And for Boise, again, Boise faced a way more difficult schedule. And if you look at the conference teams here, like I said, New Mexico, the only reason New Mexico's not in this game is because computer metrics decided that UNLV, for some reason, UNLV is better than New Mexico and San Diego State. But Boise beat New Mexico at home by double digits, and they beat UNLV, of course. UNLV lost to New Mexico. Boise, yeah, they lost to San Diego State. I know that was with Boise's backup quarterback in his first game, and I thought it was an injured player spot, but didn't work out well. UNLV didn't even have to play San Diego State, so UNLV avoided San Diego State. Boise State's other conference loss was to Fresno State. UNLV also didn't play them. So UNLV really got an easy conference schedule here. Remember, Boise had to face all of these teams at the top of the schedule. Boise faced every single one of them. UNLV avoided half of them during the season. And as I was saying, Boise, they played a more difficult out-of-conference schedule. They had that ugly loss to open the season at South Florida. We know South Florida wound up having a good season. And then Boise also had to play at Notre Dame. I mean, come on, man. I mean, much, much more difficult than anybody that UNLV faced this year. And now Boise, I mean, they got on a nice little run. They got some momentum, beating, I know, Colorado State's bad, and then barely beating Utah State on the road. Okay, but I think Boise's going to show up focus here. And the reason I think that, I mean, it's the conference title game, and of course, you know, you want to show up for that because that's one of your goals. But there is a very, very slim chance that Boise can still get into the playoff. Although they need James Madison to lose, which isn't going to happen. They need a lot of things to happen. They need to win this in a blowout. They need James Madison to lose. They probably need Tulane to beat North Texas like 3-0. You know what I mean? Like, a bunch of crazy crap has to happen. But the reason why I think Boise is showing up here is because they're bringing Maddox Madsen back for this game. He is back, their quarterback. And normally, you know, I talk about reverse injured player theory. Oh, well, the team takes their foot off the gas a little bit when their star player comes back. But do you really think that's going to be the case in the conference championship game, where the only reason they're bringing him back is because they're trying to win this game? No, I think they're going to be focused. You're not going to take a step. You're not going to take it easy just because your starting quarterback is back when it's the conference title game. You know what I mean? And the fact that they're bringing him back tells me they want to win this game. The only issue might be how rusty is he going to be. You know what I mean? But Madsen is a very experienced quarterback. I mean, he was their quarterback last year. He's been there for a couple of years, so he's been here. He's done this before. We get more experience on the Boise side. Boise is also just the better team. They're the way better defense. That's not even close. And both teams like to run the football, but I mean, Boise, they have the better passing attack. I think there's no question about that too. So Boise, way more balanced team, better, like, you know, just good on both sides of the ball. They're the better team. I think I belabored that way too much, but the line value on this game is just insane. Even at 5.5, I don't get it at all. If we got it at 1.5, that would have been crazy. That was, of course, before the injury news came out, because we really thought that Madsen wasn't going to play. But I just don't understand why this line is where it is. With Boise having been a 13-point favorite the first time these teams faced off, and Boise won that game. The only thing I can figure is it's just recency bias, where Boise just didn't look good with their backup quarterback for a couple of games there, and UNLV has looked good winning games down the stretch, but beating basically bad teams. So Boise is the play there, man. That'll be my one conference championship game of the day, and I probably have one tomorrow, but we'll see. I mean, I got to tread a little bit lightly. My college football's been bad down the stretch. Don't want to blow it. Last year, my conference championship week hasn't been good the last couple of years, so I want to improve, but those are my opinions on those games, and that's it for today, man. You're going to bet on Retzlaff getting a rushing touchdown. Temple's not bowl eligible? Oh, shit. Yeah, well, that sucks. I think they haven't been in a bowl for a while, I think. I think I might have talked about that last week, where I thought they might cover in that game, which I don't believe they did. All right, that's going to do it. Once again, my plays today. College basketball, really ugly. East Texas A&M plus the points. Hockey, we got the Buffalo Sabres money line. NBA, don't know if I love it. My NBA has started to slide a little bit, even though usually I'm really good. Charlotte plus the points there. And then college football, which I didn't put the closing parenthesis there. We're going to be on Boise State minus the points. I know it was out at 4 when I logged into the system here, but I would still lay the 5. Hopefully you can get the 5. Whatever. There's really no difference between 5, 5.5. Again, I think there is a lot of line value still there on the Boise side, so we're laying it with Boise. I know in the championship game last year, Boise was not that huge of a favorite. I think they were only about a favorite of about this size, but UNLV was way better than they are this year, last year. I mean, this year they're a paper tiger in what is really supposed to be a rebuilding year. Boise does have some of their guys back, like their quarterback, although, of course, they don't have Genty anymore. But Boise just kind of reloads at running back, so it doesn't really matter that much. So that's going to do it. And Genty not doing well in the NFL, which I kind of predicted that. Pinsey, yep, thanks for hanging out, everybody. Jeffrey, thank you. Thank you, sir. Thanks to everybody for hanging out. Thank you, sir. Yeah, it's a lackluster slate of games here today. Jeffrey, Pinsey, Zach, Rachel. Thanks, everybody. Saab, of course. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Hopefully, did I miss anybody? Hopefully, I didn't. Fernando and Danny. Yeah, and Dirty Sock. Crap. And Scott, I think is who that was earlier in the show. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. I'll be back. I might not. We'll see. I got to look at what the college basketball slate looks like tomorrow because I'm going to transition at some point to doing Friday night college basketball shows for the Saturday slate. So we'll see. I don't know if that's starting tonight or not, but if you subscribe to the show, you'll get the notification here on YouTube. Again, Learn to Tone on Twitter, Learn to Tone on Instagram. Like, subscribe to the show here. Give me good comments. Audio helps me out as well. Listen on audio. Give me a good review over there. Apple, Spotify. Covered in Uke is my Uke channel here on YouTube. You can check that out. Patreon.com/LearnToToad. I'm trying to get that feed up to date, trying to get some requests done there. Although we're in the Christmas season, so I'm kind of doing Christmas songs, which I usually do, but they're going to kind of all be repeats at this point, but I haven't recorded them, using this mic and whatever before. So I put one out last night with a comedic Jonathan Colton Christmas song last night. That's on Twitter. Got to get it up there. Patreon.com. You can get requests as well. And then check out the Loser Cast, which we have the channel on YouTube. You'll see it there. But the first episode was on Leighton's Outlawed Thoughts channel, so you can go check that out there. Hopefully we get in a groove and get that thing going. My loser is not... Tyler is going to win with his loser pick of the week just because he went with a woman that everybody knows who she is, so good on his part. It was a choice that was going to get a lot of votes. That's going to do it, man. I'll be back either tonight or tomorrow. We've got to figure it out. Not a big college football slate anymore, though, because we're done with the regular season now, so we'll see. That'll do it for me for now. Peace for now, guys.